Happy New Year, so buddies! Yay! You welcome back again to this YouTube channel. It's Whitney IY here, and if this is your first time here, you're highly welcome. Please do well to hit on that subscribe button and also click on the notification bell so you'll be notified whenever I drop a new video. So this particular video has been long overdue and I ought to have uploaded this video ever since, but then I have been trying to sort out some things here and there. So nonetheless, it's not too late. So in this particular video, we're going to learn how to make this particular skirt that I'm putting on in this video. And this skirt is quite versatile, meaning it's something you can wear with even an English blouse, an English top, you get. So if this is something you're interested in, then do well and keep watching. And for the blouse, I did a picture tutorial, so I'll be dropping that on either my Facebook or TikTok account. So without much talk, let's dive right in. A little backstory here. So I had this event that I was invited to and I needed to attend. So I decided to make this beautiful outfit for the event. So I had to go straight to my illustration book and sketch out exactly what I want. And that's how I arrived at the beautiful skirt you're seeing and also the blouse. Yes, after putting one or two different ideas together, different pictures together and arriving at this. So that is it for that. In case you're asking me, okay, where did I get inspiration from? Yes, I got it from different pictures put together to create one beautiful piece, one beautiful skirt and blouse outfit. Yay! So with that being said, let's dive right into the materials used. And here are the items. I made use of the Ankara fabric and it is 6 yards here for the skirt and blouse. And you can actually make use of crepe, damask, brocade, anyone. So I also made use of the lining, the hairstay, and also the strong gum stay. Moving on, I also made use of the organza, and as you can see, I have them in different colors because I decided not to just sit with one color, you get. So I decided to play around all the colors present in the fabric. So it's up to you. You can decide to, make use of only one color or all the color. Just make sure it comes out fine. And I got them in half yard. Also, you can get an organdy in place of an organza. You get, I prefer organdy, but then I just settled for an organza. Yeah, so I also made use of the aiming gum, the crinoline, which I got in 2 yards. And for the embellishment, this skirt and blouse was heavily stoned. So I made use of the original stone, the small size you get. And for the copper wire, this is what I could, lay my hand on. I could not lay my hands on those, regular copper wire. This was the one I could lay my hand. The only thing is this one breaks easily. See, too much bending and it breaks. So that's just it. So also for the beading, this is the beadings I got the ones on strands, and I also got the other ones that I really do not like. I prefer these ones on strand, but these other ones are cheaper. So that's just it. So straight to the drafting. It's time to draft out the skirt, and by now we should be used to drafting of skirts. And I'm drafting a contoured skirt, butt contoured, knee contour, you get. So for the contour skirt, all you have to do is to come down by 1 inch from the beginning of your paper. I have done this tutorial before, so I'll be quite fast with this particular one because I've done an extensive tutorial on this before, or exclusive tutorial, anyone. So after coming down by 1 inch from the beginning of your paper, I'll just go ahead and connect the dots to get a straight line. So this straight line is my starting line and it also serves as my waistline. Moving on, next step is to mark out the hip line. So from the starting line, I'm going to come down by 8 inches. If the person is quite tall, you can make use of 9 inches. Very tall, make use of 10 inches. So me, I'm of an average height, so I'm making use of 8 inches. So from the starting line, I'll come down by 8 inches and I'll go ahead and connect these dots together to get a straight line like this. And this line is the hip line. After marking out the hip line, the next step is to mark out the knee line. So you go ahead and measure from your waist to your knee and mark it out. And for me, it is 20.5 inches, and that is what I am marking out. And as you can see, the way I'm placing my tape, I'm placing it starting from the starting line, which also serves as the waistline, like I earlier stated. Now, if you've watched my skirt tutorials before, after marking out your knee line, you have to go up by 2 inches. The reason for this is this skirt is a contoured skirt, so meaning around the knee is also going to be contoured, and you obviously want your client to be able to walk easily while putting on the skirt. So all you have to do is to go up by 2 inches from the original knee line. I hope you understand. So from my knee line, I'll go up by 2 inches, as you can see. And after going up by 2 inches, I'll go ahead and connect the dots together to get a straight line. And this line is my new knee line, the new one, and this is the old one. I hope you understand. If you don't understand, like I have earlier stated, there is a detailed video on how to draft out a contour skirt on my YouTube channel, and I will drop the links on the description box. So on the waistline here, which is the starting line, I'm going to divide my round waist measurement by 4 and mark it out. And my round waist measurement is 32 divided by 4 gives me 8, and that is what I'll go ahead and mark out here like this. On the hip line, I'll divide my round hip measurement by 4 and mark it out. And my round hip measurement is 42 divided by 4 gives me 10.5, which I've marked out. And I will connect the hip measurement to my waist measurement like this. Are you seeing it? Now, to get that contour around the knee, all I have to do is to subtract 2 inches from whatever I marked out here on the hip line. So I marked out 10.5 inches here on the hip line, minus 2 inches gives me 8.5. And I'll go ahead and mark this out on the knee line. And I'll connect this to the hip line like this. So you can see it's giving that feminine curve. Moving on, it's time to determine and mark out how long you want your skirt to be. And after doing that, you go ahead and mark out exactly what you have on your knee line, on your hem line. So for me, I'm just going to use the ending of my pattern paper as how long I want my skirt to be. And as you can see, I marked out the 8.5 inches, which is exactly what I have on my knee line. I marked it out on the hem line as well, and I'm connecting this to the knee line. So whatever you have on your knee line is what you should have at the hem of your skirt as well. And here I have successfully drafted out my front pattern, so I'll go ahead and cut this out like this. So after cutting out my front pattern, it's time to cut out the waistband. But take note that this part of the skirt, when you're cutting out your fabric, this part is the center front and it's going to be on fold, and this is the side fronts, and you label respectively at the top like this, so that after cutting out the waistband you don't get confused. So for my waistband, I'll come down by 1.5 inch. That is how wide I want my waistband to be. 1.5 inch gives you a very beautiful waistband. So I'll come down by 1.5 inch from the waistline like this, and I'll go ahead and bring in my rule to connect this together to get a straight line like so. And I'll bring in my scissors and cut out the waistband. And for the allowances, remember the center front here is going to be on fold. So at the side front, I'll be leaving 1 inch for the side seam allowance. At the up part of the waistband, half an inch. At this point, half an inch for joining to this part, half an inch here. At side seam, 1 inch. That is at the side front, 1 inch. And at the hem, I'll be leaving 2 inches for the hemming allowance. Yeah, 2 inches. So that is it for the front pattern, and that is it for the allowance. I'll be leaving around it when I'm cutting out the fabric. So this is the front pattern that I have drafted out. I'll go ahead and bring in another clean piece of pattern paper to draft out the back pattern. So this is it, and as usual, from the beginning of the pattern paper, I will come down by 1 inch to get the starting line, which also serves as the waistline for the skirt pattern. So I'll come down by 1 inch like this. And after coming down by 1 inch, I'll bring in my rule to connect the dots together to get a straight line like this. Moving on, it's time to mark out the hip line. So exactly what I marked out on the front, which is 8 inches, that is what I'll also mark out for this back pattern. So from the starting line, I'll come down by 8 inches like this. And I'll also bring in my rule to connect the dots to get a straight line. And this line is my hip line. After marking out the hip line, the next step is to mark out the new knee line, which I have explained before when I was drafting out the front pattern. So I'll go ahead and mark out my new knee line, which is after marking out your waist to knee line, you go ahead and come up by 2 inches, you get. So that's what I just did here on the back pattern as well. So this is the knee line, which is obviously the new one. So after doing this, the next step is to mark out the underbutt line. Now, to get your underbutt line, you measure from the deepest back part of your back to underneath the bum bum, you get. Or there are other ways to go about it, which I also explained on the video I did on butt contour. So for me, it is 14 inches. That is from the deepest part of my back to underneath the bum bum is 14 inches, which I've marked out here. So this is the underbutt line. The reason for the underbutt line is to be able to contour the bum bum and also contour the knee. So moving on the waistline, I'll go in by 0.75 inch from the center back, and I'll connect it to the hip line like this. The reason for doing this is to eliminate any form of zip bulging so that the zip will relax well on the bum bum. Next, on the new knee line, I will go in by 1 inch like this from the center back like so, and I'll connect this to the underbutt line like this. So take note that I'm doing all of this at the center back, the center of the back pattern. Yes. Now on the waistline, now I'll go ahead and divide my round waist measurement by 4 and mark it out, which for me is 8 inches, and you can see the way I placed my tape. And on the hip line, I will divide my round hip measurement by 4 and also mark it out, which is 10.5. So you can see the way I'm placing my tape as well. And I will connect my round hip measurement to my round waist measurement like this. And on the knee line, remember to subtract 2 inches from whatever you marked out on your hip line. So for me, it is 8.5 inches after subtracting 2 inches from 10.5, which is what I marked out on my hip line. And I'll go ahead and connect it. So please take note of the way I am placing my tape while marking out the round bodice measurement after dividing them by 4. So at the M, whatever I did to the new knee line is what I also do to the M. Hope you understand. So I also go in by 1 inch like this at the M on the center back, and I'll connect like this to the new line. Hope you can see this. Wherever confuses you, just let me know in the comment section. I'll try as much as possible to explain to you. Now I'll also go ahead and mark out the 8.5 inch here. You can see that I'm placing my tape at the M as well, and I'll connect this to the new knee line. So it's just whatever that was done on the new knee line must be done on the M of the skirt as well. So that is just it. There is no two ways about it. You get. So that is that for that. So right now the back pattern is ready, and I'll go ahead and bring in my scissors and cut this out like this. So please watch the way I am cutting this out. So this is it. Right now the back pattern is well contoured. The butt is well contoured and the knee is also contoured. And always remember to indicate your center back and your side back, which I've already done. So right now I'm coming down by 1.5 inch, which is how wide I want my waistband to be, which is the same thing I did for the front as well. So after coming down by 1.5 inch, I'll go ahead and, connect like this, connect them together to get a straight line. And I'll bring in my scissors to cut out the waistband. Always indicate your center back and your side back on your waistband as well for your back pattern. And for the allowances, I'll be leaving 1 inch at the center back for zipper allowance. At the up here, I'll be leaving half an inch, and at this point, half an inch here. And at the side back, I'll be leaving 1 inch for the side seam allowance. Here, I'll also be leaving half an inch for joining this part to the waistband. And also at the center back here for the zipper allowance, I'll be leaving 1 inch. And at the side back here, I'll also be leaving 1 inch for seam allowance. Yes. And at the M, as usual, I'll be leaving 2 inches for the hemming allowance. And this is my back pattern, which is obviously ready. So I'll go ahead and bring in my front patterns as well. And I'll be using these patterns to cut out the fabric and the lining as well. And once I am done cutting them out, I'll go ahead and also bring them here. So let me go ahead and cut them off camera. So this is it. I have cut out my fabrics and lining, as you can see. And I've also cut out the fabrics for the waistbands as well. And my skirt also is very long. So while cutting out the fabric, I added the remaining inches to get the desired length I want for my skirt, and I added the 2 inches for hemming allowance. And for the allowance at the waistband, you can see that I left half an inch here, and the center front here is on fold, meaning there is no opening. I didn't get to cut it open. And side seam is 1 inch, at the down half an inch. Then here at the waistline, half an inch, side seam 1 inch, and at the hem 2 inches. Now when cutting out the lining of the skirts, it is cut out quite differently. Yes. Now for the normal fabric, the main fabric, you make sure you had 2 inches for hemming allowance. But for the lining, there is no need for the 2 inches hemming allowance. Don't add any form of hemming allowance to your skirt lining, so that when you're done sewing it, this is what it will look like. It will look so beautiful on the wrong side of the skirt. You get. Now for the back pattern, as you can see, I left half an inch here and 1 inch on the side seam here, 1 inch at the center back here, and 2 inches for the hemming allowance, as you can see. And even for the lining, you can see that I didn't get to add the 2 inches for hemming allowance. And please take note that if you want your side seams allowance to be more than 1 inch, you can go ahead and do that, but I think 2 inches is the maximum side seam allowance for skirts. So right now it's time to go ahead and start putting the skirts together. So I'll take out the pattern paper for the back. So it's time to join the lining to the main fabric, and take note that this is the back pattern. Now for the back pattern, make sure you notch the center back so you don't get it confused with the side back. You don't mess it up. So I'll go ahead and indicate the wrong side of my fabric as well. Using my chalk, I will indicate the wrong side, and also make sure I indicate the center back of my back pattern. So right now I'll bring in the lining and I'll place it on the right side of the fabric. Are you seeing it? I'll place it on the right side of the fabric respectively. Are you seeing the way I'm arranging the lining on the right side of the fabric? Yeah. And I'll go ahead and, join the hem of the lining to the hem of the fabric like this. That's the very first step in joining the lining to the fabric. I will join it like this using half an inch allowance. And for the side, I'll go ahead and drag it up. After joining the hem, you go ahead and drag the lining to the waist like this. Are you seeing it? So I'll go ahead and close up these sides using 0.25 inch sewing allowance. Now once I close up the sides, this is what I should have. So I'll go ahead and close up the sides. After closing up the sides, I will now flip. That is, after closing up the hem, I'm closing up the sides. I will now turn this over to the right side of the fabric like this. I'll bring it out like this. That is once I'm done closing up the sides and the hem. And this is what I should have. So you can see the way the fabric is at the wrong side. Then I'll now go ahead and secure the waistline, secure the fabric to the lining at the waistline. So I'll bring in the front pattern. Let me also show you. So I'll go ahead and take out the pattern paper for the front, and I will also go ahead and open this up. Always remember to indicate the wrong side of your fabric, especially when the right side and the wrong side are looking the same. Just make sure you indicate the wrong side of your fabric. It's very important. Do not forget. So I'll go ahead and place the lining on the right side of the fabric and go ahead and first of all close up the hem using half an inch allowance. That's the first thing. Then I will drag the lining to the waist like this, and I'll close up the sides using 0.25 inch allowance, sewing allowance. Then I will now turn it over and secure the waist. Right now it's time to cut out the cuff style line that was at the front. So to do that, I'll get a whole piece of pattern paper and fold it into 2 equal parts like this, as you can see. So what I'm doing is I'm about to cut out a full front pattern, so please watch. So after folding it into 2 equal parts, I'll go ahead and bring in my front pattern, and I'm going to place it like this. And I'll go ahead and pin my front pattern to this new folded pattern paper. I'll go ahead and pin it down like so. And after pinning it down, I'll cut exactly what I have on my front pattern. So I'm just going to, it's like I'm cutting out my front pattern again. So I'll just follow through like this. And this is what I have. So I'll go ahead and take out the pins. I'll go ahead and take out the pins. And when I get to open the pattern paper, you can see I have a full front pattern. Now, looking at the illustration that I sketched out, you can see that the cuff style line on the skirt is going in a slanted direction. I don't know if you can see this, in a slanted way. So, and also I want this cuff style line to be on the left side of this skirt. And I've also gone ahead to add extra inches to this pattern paper to get my desired skirt length. That is the length I want for my skirt. So that is it. So right now I'll go ahead and open up the pattern paper, and I will indicate the right side of my pattern and the left side of my pattern. So you just place the pattern on your body to know the left and the right side. So like I stated, I want the cuff to be on this left side here. So I'll go ahead, and from the waist of the skirt, I'm going to come down by 2 inches from the waistline here on the left side. At the hem, from the center front, I went in by 2 inches initially, which I later cleaned out. I didn't like the slant, so I settled for 1 inch. So I'll go ahead and curve from the left side here, the 2 inches I came down with at the waistline. I'll go ahead and curve it down like this to meet up with that 1 inch that I went in with from the center front at the hem. I hope you understand. So I'll curve like this. So right now, I'll go ahead and give this a proper curve in the way I would like it. And this is what I have. So you can see I came down by 2 inches here, and at the hem I went in by 1 inch here. And I'm loving this slanted curve. So this side will be the fabric, and this side will have the structured flowers. So that's just it. So right now I'm just highlighting the curve so you can get to see it clearly. After doing this, I'll go ahead and cut out the curve, and the part of this pattern that I'm going to use to cut out the fabric, I'll go ahead and use it to cut out the fabric. So I'll just cut it out like this and leave this part of the skirt that I need for cutting out the fabric. So yeah, I'll be leaving ½ inch allowance, and at the side seam here I'll be leaving 1 inch allowance. At the waist, ½ inch allowance here, and at the hem here I'll be leaving 2 inches for hemming allowance. Yes. So I'll go ahead and cut this out on fabric, and this is what I have. You can see the allowances I have around ½ inch here, 1 inch here, ½ inch here, 2 inches at the hem, and 1 inch for the side seam. So what I'll go ahead and do right now is I need a lining for this curved part, and I'll be cutting using the Ankara as the lining as well. So please just watch what I'm about to do. Now, this curved part needs to have some form of structure. So that's where the crinoline and the strongest gum stay comes in. You get, I'm just reinforcing the structure. So I'll bring in the crinoline, which is about 2 inches wide, and I'm going to place it like this on the curved part. Right now, I'll go ahead and start marking 2 inches from the curved part of the pattern like this. I'll mark 2 inches round till I get to the hem. So this is what I'll use to also cut out the lining. So after doing this, I'll go ahead and cut out what I've marked out like this. So you can see I'm cutting out this curve, which is 2 inches wide. And in cutting out the lining, I'll be leaving ½ inch allowance here, ½ inch allowance here, 1 inch allowance here, and 2 inches allowance at the hem here. So I'll go ahead and cut out the fabric. So like I earlier stated, I used Ankara for the lining, and you can see the allowance I have round it. So I'll go ahead and take out the pattern paper, and for the lining here, I'm going to go ahead and iron in the strongest gum stay. You can see how strong the gum stay is. It's very strong. So I'll go ahead and iron the gum stay on it. That is that shiny part of the gum stay. That's the one I will iron on the wrong side of this lining. So this is what I have. I have ironed the gum stay on the lining, as you can see. And right now I'll bring in the crinoline because I'm going to sew this to the curved part of this lining. So I'll bring it in, and I'll use my pin to hold it in place. You can see I'm placing it on the edge of this curved part of the lining. And while sewing the crinoline to the edge here, I'll also be adding the hemming gum to it. I'll be sewing the hemming gum with it as well. So I'll just show you what I'll do. Let me pin it. Let me finish pinning the crinoline to the edge of the curve first. So while sewing it, I'll bring in the hemming gum as well, and I will sew it on the edge as well. Moving on, I'll bring in the full piece of this curved pattern so that I can go ahead and sew in the lining to the curved part of this pattern. So I'll go ahead and place the lining like this, making sure that the right sides are facing each other. And while sewing the crinoline, make sure you cover the edge with your paper tape, just to make sure it doesn't poke you when you're putting on the skirt, or it doesn't shred out. So I'll go ahead and sew the edge of the lining to the edge of the curved part of the main fabric like this, using ½ inch sewing allowance. And after sewing it, I'll flip it over to the wrong side, and this is what I should have. So I'll turn this skirt right now to the wrong side. So I'll turn it. This is what I should have on the wrong side. And I'll also bring in my hemming gum and iron it in between to make it stick to the main curved fabric. Are you seeing it? So this is what I have. So right now I'm going to bring in the full skirt pattern, which is the fabric. So I'll bring it in and I'll flip over to the right side of the skirt pattern, and I'll bring in the curved pattern as well. And in placing it, I'll place the wrong side of the curved pattern on the right side of the full skirt front pattern. So you can see the structure this curved part is given. So right now, go ahead and sew the waistlines together using 0.25 inch, and I'll also secure this side of the side seam together using 0.25 inch. Now, to make sure that these curved patterns stick to your full front pattern, you have to use your Amy gum, yes, in between the curved pattern and the main pattern, that is the full front pattern. But just make sure you don't use the Amy gum on the 2 inches curved side. I hope you understand. I hope I'm not confusing you. So that is it. So right now, go ahead and secure the waistline and also secure the side seam, and use my Amy gum in between, and make sure the Amy gum does not get close to where the gum stay is. And then I'll bring in my lining and place it on the right side, and go ahead and sew in the lining the way I illustrated earlier on when it comes to sewing lining. Right now, I'll bring the waistband, and I'll be using the front waistband as an example. So I cut out both the main fabric and the lining for the waistband, and the lining is also Ankara fabric as well. And I will iron air stay to the wrong side of the waistband. I'll also do this to the back waistbands as well. And this is it. I've ironed air stay to the wrong side. So right now, I'll place the lining and the main fabric together, making sure the right sides are facing each other. And I'll close up the upper part of the waistband using 1/2 inch allowance. And this is what I have once that is done. Right now, it's time to attach the waistband to the front waistline, and I'll place it like this and go ahead and close up the waistline using 1/2 inch sewing allowance. And once I have done this first stage, I'll flip the waistband over to the right side like this and fold in 1/2 inch and stitch on the edge of the folding. So I'll repeat the same thing on the back patterns as well, and this is what I have. I have sewn on the waistband to the back patterns. Right now, it's time to sew in the zip, and make sure that after every step you iron. It is very important. So it's time to sew in zip to the center back. So that's why you need to indicate the center back of your pattern so that it is easier for you to do. And sewing in the zip, remember that I've used 0.25 inch to attach the lining to the fabric, so I'm left with 0.75 inch. So I'll use 0.75 inch as the zipper allowance. So this is it. I have sewn in the zip and I have closed up the center back, and I left slits at the center back too for easy movement. So that is it. So this is the wrong side, as you can see. So I'll go ahead and iron, open up the seam and iron, open up the center back, the zip allowance, and iron. So this is what I have on the wrong side. So right now it's time to bring in the front pattern and close up the side seams. And in placing it, I'll go ahead and place the front pattern like this, and I'll bring in the back pattern, and I'll make sure that the right sides are facing each other. So I'll place it like this, and I'll go ahead and close up the side seam using 0.75 inch, since I've already used 0.25 inch to sew in lining. So right now it's time to make the structured flower. Wherever you feel confused or do not understand, let me know in the comment section, and I'll try as much as possible to explain to you. So like I stated, I used all the colors present in the fabric. So whatever I do to this organza is what I'll do to the rest organza. So right now, I'll go ahead and open up the organza, and I'll fold it into 2 equal parts like this, and I'll bring in the aiming gum, and in placing the aiming gum in between the organza, I'll make sure that it is close together. The aiming gums are close together. There is no space between the aiming gums when I'm placing them. Then I'll go ahead and iron. Now take note that there are 2 types of aiming gum. There is the cheaper one around the range of 1.2 or 900 or even 1.5. Yes, that cheaper one, their disadvantage is that it does not last longer. Few washes and the aiming gum is all gone. You get. But there's also an expensive one which is about 6,000 or 8,000 naira, and that particular one, when you get to use it, it's I won't say it's everlasting because nothing lasts forever, but it lasts and it's very durable. More of like you will use it before the cloth will get open after a few washes. It takes time. So this is it. I've ironed in the Amy gum, and as you can see, my organza feels firmer and stronger. So the purpose of the Amy gum is just to fuse the two organzas together and makes it stronger and, you know, feel firmer for making the structured flower. So right now I've gone ahead to cut out the type of flower I want on a piece of paper, and I'll go ahead and cut this out on the organza. So you can see I have cut it out on the organza, and this is the copper wire. I have cut out the length I want, so I'll go ahead and use a glue to glue the copper wire to the flowers that I've cut out. So this is the Bee Sisters on. This is the one I made use of. This is the glue I made use of. So I have gone ahead to glue the copper wires to the cut out flowers like this, and these are will arrange the flowers together to get a structured rose flower. Are you seeing it? So whatever flower pattern you want, cut it out and then glue your copper wires to it, and then, you know, put them together like this. So you can either use a needle and thread to sew it together or use your glue to glue them together. So I also went ahead to embellish the center of the flower using the bead, and as you can see, you can bend the flowers any way you want. That's why it's called a structured flower. So right now I'll go ahead and sew in the flowers and also embellish the edge of the curved style line with beads. So it all depends on how you want it, how you want to create your own design. So as you can see, this is the way I sewed in the flowers. It's in between the curved style line. So that is just it, and it's looking all beautiful, and I feel this will also look very beautiful on every other fabric aside Ankara. And this is the blouse that I also got to make with it, and it's looking very beautiful. And trust me, the day I was putting on this outfit, the number of compliments that I got, I can't start counting them. And for the fact that it was heavily stoned, you know, under the sun, it's giving that glinter, you know, that shine. So yeah, so tell me, will you be trying out making this skirt? And also for the blouse tutorial, I did a picture tutorial like I earlier stated. I'll try and upload that on my Facebook or TikTok account. So see you on my next video. Bye.